Good morning. First and foremost, Alan, who has led this organization for so many years, is retiring in a few months. Please let us give him an appropriate round of applause for his tremendous, extraordinary leadership. And I appreciate his kind words. The truth is that as a policymaker, we have to make decisions, and I decided, once given the responsibility for the science appropriations portfolio for our government, that there was a superior among equals in science, and that was neuroscience. And that we were going to take this on in an aggressive way. I have found that when we look at the big picture, you know, the World Health Organization says that there are over 1 billion people who are suffering from a brain illness. And when we look at what NIH says about our own country, America, 50+ million Americans suffering from one of the hundreds of brain illnesses or diseases or disorders, we have a lot of challenges. Now, I know this is the International Society for Neuroethics. I'm more on the Gary Marcus's book, The Future of the Brain, and Stephen Marcus on Napping the Field. You are neuroethics experts, but as a policymaker, what I think is the most ethical thing for me to focus on is that here's an opportunity for us to affect positively the life chances of tens of millions of people in our own country and have an impact across the globe. So I know Henry's here, and you're going to hear from him about the Human Brain Project. But we should, and I know sometimes this is challenging for Americans, but the EU's effort in this regard is something that should be heralded all around the world. They get a unanimous decision of multiple countries to invest €1.5 billion in this effort and to push forward, even though there is always, some concern about, major projects, is I think something that should be admired, but we need to work together, and we're going to work together. We're going to find ways to work together, and I want to welcome you again to the United States of America, and we continue to admire and support your great work. Now, here at home, this administration has 26 months. It has embraced the Brain Initiative, NIH, the National Science Foundation, DARPA, and dozens of other agencies of our government are engaged in a very purposeful way. From the Food and Drug Administration to the Veterans Administration, DOD, are working in a collaborative way to push to the forefront this area. Now, neuroscience is a subject that for the public, I think that there's not a great deal of understanding that there's so much room for progress. They probably think that you have all this figured out. But the truth is that we have a lot of work to do. And it's not just on the disease and disorder side. Cognitive science is a critically important area for teaching and learning. There is the traumatic brain injury, which in our country, over 2 million, mainly young people, are going to suffer traumatic brain injury this year. And there is what we thought we knew about traumatic brain injuries 20 years ago, we now know in the main is not exactly on point. But we're learning, and a large number of our returning veterans have challenges in this area. But we also, when we root for our football teams on Sunday, understand that sports-related concussions are a critical issue. So there's a lot of work to be done. Now, there are important issues around ethics and ethical considerations. That's why in both the Brain Initiative, when the President announced it, and you'll hear from the only other non-neuroscientist, I think, in the room, to talk a little bit about the work, because that was really at concurrent with the work of the interagency working group in the BRAIN initiative to make sure that we had a focus on the ethical challenges. Now, some of them are very similar to the general bioethics issues, but some of them are particular to the subject of the human brain. This is an important area, and I know it's also true in some of the other efforts around the world, including the Human Brain Project, to look at these questions around ethics, because it needs to inform our work as we go forward. Now, as an appropriator, all I get a chance to do is decide where to spend money. And I'm for, as Alan Lesson said, I'm a big supporter of science. We're going to launch the James Webb Telescope in 2018. It's a multi-billion-dollar telescope. But I'm also very interested in how we improve imaging in terms of the work that you are engaged in as neuroscientists. Because we need to see not just outer space, but we need to be able to have a better view of the inner space between our ears. And we need to have, as Dr. Newsom has said, a map of the brain that gives us a sense about the basic apparatus, the types and number of cells. We need to have some sense and some theories around how it operates. We have a lot of work to do. We should be doing it in a collaborative fashion. And I would leave you with this thought. My thinking around this question of ethics and neurosciences, I think, is that the most ethical thing that we can do is to collaborate. That there's so much at stake. There's so many people to be helped, and there's so much knowledge to be gained, that the last thing that we need is to be in some pursuit of individualized success. That what we should be doing is seizing this moment, which Alan Lesner referred to as the neuroscience moment in his editorial in the Science magazine. We need to seize this moment, not just here in America, but across the globe, as an opportunity for scientists and nations and institutions to work together for the betterment of all humankind. It's an amazing time in neuroscience, and if we actually succeed, and I believe we will, it will be a legacy that all of us can truly be proud of. So thank you, and continue your great work.
Thank you, Congressman Fattah, and thank you for everything that you're doing for the country, but particularly to help further our field and to make sure that we are doing it well. So thank you very much for that. Let me turn back to Barbara Sahakian.